Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about what it is like to date somebody who has kids. I am going to be spilling all the tea in T-Rex as of what it was like to be with somebody who had a kid. So I kind of came up with 4 of the big things that will really affect your relationship when you have a relationship with somebody who has kids, and I am going to let you know my relationship with somebody who had a child. It did not work out, and I would not, at this point in my life, consider dating somebody who has a child. Now, our experience is different than anybody else's experience. We were engaged. It didn't work out. I'm not here to throw any shade at him in how everything fell apart, but I definitely would say one of the largest factors definitely was the fact that he had a child. It created a lot of stress in our relationship, which is not necessarily his fault. It was just a very wild ride, and maybe these tips or realities that I'm going to throw at you might give you some warning signs as to what to look out for. So we'll start with number 1. The biggest thing is the right time, because me and my ex got together very recently after him and his ex of 10 years split up. So you want to be careful of stuff like that, because when I got with him, he was very set on the idea that he would not be part of his child's life. He was going to be the dad that's only there every other weekend and on holidays, and it might sound terrible, but I was fine with that.
You're just like me. Trash! What is it?
Because, he had a good reason. He said that the mother of his child was an amazing woman and that it just didn't work out, that she was a stay-at-home mom. She ran a daycare from her house, so it just seemed appropriate. He had, she had another child that was from a different relationship, so the idea was to keep both kids together because they got along, and basically it all sounded wonderful. You know, like perfect situation, I understand, it makes sense, but things change, because at the early stages of a breakup with kids, you're not really thinking, and then when she started coming at him for child support and all of those crazy things, wanting $2,000 a month for this or that, and it's just, that's when it changed, you know. Then he's like fighting for full custody. They were in a custody battle, and then I'm faced with the moment where he tells me that we're going to be full-time parents, and I'm 20 and I'm not ready to be a full-time parent, and you have to be ready for that. So I will say maybe I should have been more understanding at the time, and I tried to be more understanding and supportive, but it was hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that I was going to be going from totally just me to dating to I have a 4-year-old child. That was a lot for me. So right place, right time is really important, because if you're getting with somebody who already has a set schedule of how their custody is, of how much their child support is, and they're comfortable with it, if it's like, 5 years down the line from when they split up and they've already had all of this stuff in place, then that is going to make everything a lot smoother and a lot easier for you to just kind of figure out where you fit in. Versus if you're going through the chaotic custody battle and you don't know where you stand or where you should be, that's going to make it a lot more difficult. So my advice would be, if you are considering being with somebody who has kids, I really wouldn't think about jumping into a relationship, especially a serious one, with anyone who is still going through the beginning stages of a custody battle. Number 2 really kind of falls on the other person that you're in the relationship with, being able to accept and understand your ideas about children and child care. Because if you're expected to be involved, then it's very important that they allow you to have an opinion.
Here's what's going on, buddy. The day we get married is the day I ship the rats off to Switzerland.
And you'll really see how they act the more you get into it. But it's one of those things, it's a real red flag if when you have an idea about the child or the child care that you just get shut down and told that you don't know what you're talking about.
Rats off to Switzerland.
And that happens a lot. That used to happen in my relationship, and several other people who I know who have been with people that had children. If they didn't have children of their own already, they were automatically just assumed that anything that they said about kids or childcare or what they should be doing or how they should handle things was just wrong.
Rats off to Switzerland.
Because they didn't have the paternal instinct and they didn't understand. And I will say there were things I was definitely wrong about when I would say them.
Here's what's going on, buddy. The day we get married is the day I ship the rats off to Switzerland.
I mean, I was hard. I was definitely like, I was acting like a strict parent, and there were things that I should have just let go of. But there were a lot of things that I used to say that eventually he would be like, you know, you kind of were right about that. And it's just one of those things that always hurt to just be assumed like guilty, assumed wrong, and it's something where when that happens, it really damages the relationship you have with your significant other. So that's something to really just kind of lay all out on the table and talk about before you get in a serious relationship with someone who has kids. So I don't know, but like when I got a puppy, I didn't know how to raise it, and then it just happened. Now, number 3, baby mamas. Not just the baby mama, but the baby mama's parents, the baby mama's cousins, brothers, sisters, uncles, sisters, friends, I don't even care. That is some drama.
Trash!
Right there. I'm just gonna say that the baby mama can really make or break your relationship with your boyfriend and their child, because if they hate you, that is just going to make your life so much more difficult. And if they hate your significant other and they hate the fact that you're together, it just makes everything more difficult. Now, like at Christmas time, we had plans and she just decided, oh, well, you can't have your kid this day, you can only have him that day. And then we had to shift and change all of our holiday plans because she felt a certain way and they were in the middle of a custody agreement. So in situations like that, it was really difficult to deal with her, and not only her, but we had to deal with her whole side of the family. And they had a very large, tight-knit Hispanic family that got together all the time, cousins, brothers, sisters, everyone, and they were all involved and all in our lives.
Trash!
Let me just say that made things horribly difficult. And it may sound awful, but one time, like, my ex went to go get a haircut from her cousin, and I just lost my mind. Because I was so tired of hearing about him and her and who and what, and I got so sick of their family and their family's drama, and we always had to deal with that. So the family really makes or breaks the whole relationship. I know that sounds really bleak in a way because your relationship with your significant other is somewhat dependent on how crazy his ex was.
Trash!
But it's true. I mean, and you have to accept that he is always going to be talking to his ex.
Trash!
And in a normal relationship, if there was no kid, if your ex, or if you were talking to your ex all the time, your significant other would have rights to just break up with you. But in this case, it's just like you have to deal with that forever. Forever.
Trash!
Like, even when that kid's older, they're still gonna have to talk at some point. So forever, at least until they're like really old, maybe, you have to deal with the fact that the person you love is always talking to his ex. Something to think about. Number 4, which is our final, is pretty much just expectations. So you kind of have to go in and be really transparent with each other, which is, as I said, like in the first one, it's really hard to be transparent if the person you're with doesn't really know what's going on. So making sure that you are transparent with your significant other as well as they are transparent. They have to tell you, hey, I am looking for a mommy replacement.
Sure, you'll help me. Right over a cliff, you'll help me. Not a bad idea. Yeah, see any cliffs?
Or hey, I am looking for a girlfriend that can tolerate the fact that I have a kid. Those are different, because if you're supposed to be like mommy replacement over here, then they're expecting you to take care of and be part of their child's life, which is ideal. But then at the same time, they need to let you know that, because if you get into a relationship expecting that you're just going to have a relationship and that he is also going to have a kid, you know, and that you'll be part of it, but you don't have to be responsible, it's totally different than if you are, you know, full-time.
Trash!
So really just communicate. You gotta talk about what you both want,
The day we get married is the day I ship those brats off to Switzerland.
what you're both looking for, even more so than you would on just a regular dating scale, because he has a kid.
Trash!
It's a lot of responsibility. That's another human life. And it just opens up a whole another can of worms. So my final verdict on that is that I would not date anybody who has kids currently. That is my thing, my choice, and my life, because I might want kids someday, but it's a lot easier to make decisions with someone about kids when they're your kids together, because you can kind of feel like you're on equal ground, versus when they have the kid with someone else, it's kind of like you're here and they're up here, and it just makes things a whole lot more difficult. It's a whole new dynamic. So for me, I'm not judging. You can totally date anybody you want to date, whether they have kids or not, but especially if you're young, really just think about all that responsibility and make sure that you're ready for that, because not only does this affect you and your significant other, it affects that child and that family and that dynamic. Do you want to be the step parent that made that kid's life miserable? I don't think so. We're not all just like Cinderella's mom out here. So let's go and not be like Meredith from The Parent Trap either. And that's what I have for you guys today. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your experiences below. Maybe I'm just petty and childish,
You're just like me. Trash! What?
and I am, and I'm living my best life. So see you next week. Back at you with another video. Love ya. Bye.